against the war.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Three Against the Warp. I'm Abby. I'm here with my brothers, Ben and Reuben, and today we're going to talk about Star Wars. So, guys, I just know growing up, we are, part of, I guess, like the second generation that enjoyed, legacy, right? The Star Wars legacy. So I remember our parents talking about it a lot, and now, my kid is drawing Darth Vaders everywhere, and R2-D2s, and he's obsessed with Star Wars, right? And so it's like three generations of people have been loving and enjoying this massive franchise, which is now just, kind of gone crazy a little bit. Not necessarily in a bad way, all bad, but that's kind of part of what I want to talk about. Is so the ones that we were first introduced to, of course, were episodes 4, 5, and 6, right?
Right.
Those are the ones that first came out.
Yeah.
And I will always regard those as the best Star Wars. Like, I don't care how much better the special effects get. Those are the original and kind of untouched in my head. And I know that at the time, too, they were doing the special effects at the time were groundbreaking. And so there's that to consider as well. They look goofy now, but back in the day, they were doing something unprecedented and just really cool. So I guess maybe, like, first of all, why do you think the three original Star Wars can stand the test of time? And do you all agree with me? Do you disagree with me on that?
So they stand the test of time. I think what we talked about our last episode with storytelling. The storytelling is like on point. Great story, great subplots, all that good stuff. I think that would be my top reason.
Yeah, I agree with Reuben. I think the funny thing is too, like the making of that movie was so initially it was kind of like a mess. We saw the finished cut, right, where James Earl Jones was the voice of Darth Vader, right, and where we didn't know the person behind the suit, or like we didn't know that when they were trying to find somebody to play Han Solo. Harrison Ford was just a carpenter on set. They're like, hey, you want to play for you want to try out? They're like, hey, we love you, like the movie being made was not like this big grandiose production that everyone knew was going to be this amazing film that was going to stand the test of time. It was kind of like this guy, George Lucas, was trying to do his own, for its time too, it was a smaller budgeted, even though it cost, I think, like $1 million or $2 million to make, which isn't that much, all things considered. But just using what he had, it turned out to be this epic adventure of, kind of going back to our pilot podcast when we were practicing, good versus evil. And it didn't have amazing graphics, but for whatever reason, what they caught on screen, and with the help of the soundtrack,
John Williams,
man, music matters so much.
Potentially the GOAT.
Yes, and I think the music along with that movie is kind of part of what helped immortalize it.
Yeah,
I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah, dude, that's so true. Everyone knows the protagonist and antagonist, and everyone knows the theme music.
Yeah.
And like, if you have those three that are like universally known, that's like
it's OV, man.
Yeah. Those are OV. Three pretty big things.
Three pretty big things.
Also the attention to detail for I think at that time period of movie making, late 70s, because what was it, 78 or 70 or late 70s?
That sounds right.
When the first one came out, that was like kind of on the. I may be wrong, but if in my opinion, that time period of movie making was kind of near the end of when like on stage props, coming from like stage acting because it was evolving from the 1940s. It's only been 30 years separate from the 40s, those films in the 40s, and it's just been 30 years prior was the 1940s films up to the 70s where like on stage props were such a huge thing, attention to detail of what's on screen that's like real and tangible,
Mm,
instead of computerized things, which in the 80s, that's when that really started picking up. CGI stuff, crappy CGI in the 80s, but
yeah,
it started picking up. I think that was like when all of that stuff was at its peak and everyone
right.
had it tight, like, because they had been doing it for like almost 4 decades of all this movie making, and they've got this
The
on stage.
costumes, the
Yeah, the
robots,
costumes were on
the
point.
stage settings.
Yeah, all of it was just like visually just you just ate it up, or I
Yeah.
did. I just
Yeah,
just I
yeah,
think everybody just looked at in the beginning scene in space, and then all of a sudden you see this giant craft, and
yeah.
it's getting chased, and it's oh,
Star Destroyer.
you're
Well, I
like,
mean, yeah. Even with all the dated special effects, it still captures people's imaginations.
Yeah.
Like my kids, even though what they know is mostly the CGI stuff, they still love the original Star Wars.
Right. And what you're seeing in that beginning scene too, what's even more amazing is that's a model. That's a
Mm-hmm.
model with
Right.
detailed, little ornate designs in it, and you're like seeing this real model that, has the effect of a huge ship in space, that's pretty amazing too.
It is. Yeah, it is. So the story was strong. There, I'm not gonna, was it highly sophisticated? Maybe not, but it just had a strong, solid storyline to it
Well,
that was satisfying.
I think the composer
John
John
Williams.
Williams.
John Williams. So the main thing about John Williams is he's not an incredibly sophisticated composer,
Mm,
music writer either. He sticks to the basics,
mm,
but he
yeah,
maximizes,
yeah,
the theme music that he creates. And I think it's the same thing with Star Wars, the original movies. It's not, incredibly complicated. It's a pretty basic theme, good versus evil, hatred, love, being able to meditate and control your feelings and whatnot. Uh, but it's just so potent the way they had it lined out,
yeah,
you know,
Yeah,
the so potent, so strong. So
yeah,
yeah,
I think they stuck to the basics as far as like a storyline goes, but they hit the
yeah.
mark.
Dude, when I
yeah.
when I when I hear John Williams, I have three movies that always pop in my head. It's Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Second one is Indiana Jones,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and the third one's Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park. Okay. Yeah, that's a good one too.
And there's probably a super obvious one I'm missing, or
E.T.
several, but
There's
oh,
E.T.
but they
E.T.
all have like he has a sound. He has a sound that he like a
Yeah,
trademark sound that he because
Yeah.
some of them it's kind of like doesn't he do Superman? The original
yeah,
Superman?
Yeah,
yeah.
he
He
did
did
do Superman
Superman and Harry Potter. He's
and
also
Harry
Harry Potter.
Potter,
He did
E.T.
Harry Potter?
Yeah,
Yes.
and Jaws.
Okay, so let's talk a minute about the acting. What did y'all think about the act? What do you all think about the acting in the original three?
Or in the original three. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You
I
know,
mean,
I don't think the acting was. I think the acting got better
Mm-hmm.
as the movies came out.
Yeah.
Like the second one, Luke Skywalker had totally like grown into his Jedi
Yes.
role.
Yes.
And I think
Yeah.
with the success of the first Star Wars movie, there is probably a little bit of
Confidence.
confidence. Yeah, confidence
Yeah.
in their roles that they played, as opposed
Yeah.
to them just kind of getting out there and then saying their lines, and it kind of almost it almost seems like a dark comedy in a way if it wasn't for like the seriousness tone of the storyline sometimes, and it is kind of funny in certain areas, especially with Han Solo and the Wookiee,
Yeah.
and then the little romance between him and Leia.
And the droids.
And the droids, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, the droids are hilarious. Yeah, I don't think that. I think the acting's not too good, but for some reason it works great.
They want a longer.
Yeah, it works great, and it's really funny too. The acting of James Earl Jones, the voice acting of James Earl Jones, for Darth Vader, pasted over the actual acting of the guy that played Darth Vader, was amazingly done too.
Whoa.
Yeah.
With the way he pointed his finger and talked, it was almost like, I don't know. Have you guys heard the original? Watched the documentary of the guy who played Darth Vader and how he kind of got shafted out of the role?
Yeah. Well, I didn't. I know about it. I haven't watched it, but I know it was like he had kind of a very English accent.
Yes, it was ridiculous watching like the scenes where he would talk. It was like,
Yeah. He was like, "Take them away.
Take them away. Give us the rebel codes." It's just not really compelling at all. You're like, okay.
Yeah.
That would have been terrible. I don't think it would have hit the mark if they hadn't have like got rid of his. And it is a tragic story. He kind of did get the shaft.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
Well, and it's interesting
but if he
because
kept the role and kept the voice, then the movie wouldn't have been a hit the way it was.
It would not. It would have been.
Yeah.
It would have been like a terrible villain.
It would not have been the same. But that is interesting because most of the other Imperial characters do have a British accent.
Right.
That's like, so that is interesting.
Yeah.
And they're all dressed like Nazis.
Yeah. They really are. I mean, they are. They have like your typical looking Waffen SS uniforms,
Right. Which I think was an easy pull, to drape a enemy.
Bad guys.
Yeah, bad guys.
Exactly. Yeah.
Creating super sophisticated weaponry, and
right.
And dominating as far as
gray
technology
and black.
goes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Stormtroopers.
Originally, the stormtroopers were supposed to be like, elite troopers, of the Imperial Army, right? They're the clones. They're the leftover clones, I guess. Or maybe at this point they started actually recruiting.
So this is what's cool about this. I wouldn't have known this if my boys were not Clone War fanatics.
Okay.
And like all these new, like there's
another case in point.
there's a whole nother extension of the Star Wars universe that you just figure that they storytell and kind of like fill in the gaps of questions like that.
Yeah. Which I should probably know the answer to that with just the movies that have come out without watching the Clone Wars, I feel like, to some certain extent.
I mean, it's not really clear in the movies.
Like when they stopped.
Yeah. It's like I don't think it's clear like when they stopped Clone War, like the clone usage, because it soon became like clones became outcast. And they were not. Think of like Vietnam War vets.
Okay.
That's kind of what they turned into. Like,
wow.
They just kind of dissipated and died out eventually.
That's interesting. It's interesting. Also, too, if you're a diehard Star Wars fan, don't hold anything against us while we're talking about it. We're just.
Yeah, we could definitely be totally misrepresented.
No, we just love the story. We absolutely just.
I would say we're pretty. I mean, I feel like I'm a pretty diehard Star Wars fan. I love it.
Me too.
It's just, to me, it's interesting that you have it. Like basically 3 sets of trilogies, right, in 3 different installments.
Yeah.
And so we've talked about the original 3 and just the fact that like even with their weaknesses, they just have stood the test of time, and they are the OG, right?
Yeah.
It's just. They are that. So then you have episodes 1, 2, and 3, which are filling in the story before, the story about Anakin.
Well, also too, like, sorry, I don't mean to like interrupt, but just like I feel like Darth Vader, the story itself was just so freaking intense, right? Even though maybe like the acting was cheesy, just like thinking about this warrior who eventually became the very thing who he sought out to destroy in the beginning, right? You've got the the tragic hero storyline, and then his son coming to find out that his arch nemesis is his father, and the only way for him to achieve Jedi status, or to finish his trial, as it were, his becoming, his is to confront his father and defeat him, and then also at the same time wrestling with the dark and light side. Yeah, I guess we can get into that later, but yeah, I just think like the way they that storyline too was just so intense. I think that captured a lot of people when it initially came out.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Not
and
that they
it's
knew, not that they knew
relatable,
who the father was, because that came out in The Empire
right?
Strikes Back, right?
Right, but I think it's very relatable to people too.
Yeah.
That's very human, even though you're in this. It's in space and it has a bunch of weird creatures in it. You're still dealing with normal human, the normal human struggle and plight and all that. So, am I moving us forward too quickly?
No.
So obviously, chronologically to the narrative, these three movies come before the originals, but they were made after, right? Yeah. In our lifetimes. So in our generation, these three came. Right. And I'll just say, and then I want you guys to give me your input, because I think it's interesting. I think we had different reactions to the next two installments, and I just kind of find it interesting. So initially, when 1, 2, and 3 came out, I was entertained by them, but there were some things about them that were really off-putting to me, and I think it was all the CGI. I think it had so much CGI in it, and I was just like, that is not Star Wars. The aesthetic was not the same, and that was off-putting to me. And then, of course, like the acting, even Natalie Portman, like the acting just was not that great. But then it's just funny because I just had the originals in my head and loved them so much that there were things that they did differently that I was just like, this is not the same Star Wars, kind of what are you doing? And so I think the aesthetics was like a big kind of trip up for me a little bit in terms of just really enjoying those. But I recently rewatched them with my kids, the first three. And it was interesting to me how, given the distance, right? Like I have some distance from that now. It's still the story. Like the story has such grip to it. And you're still seeing this really strong narrative arc coming through those films, even with the, weaknesses. In some ways, it's like they're a lot like the originals. The originals, just different time and technology's version of it. But the story is still so compelling that I'm sitting there thinking, these really are good. So I don't know if y'all had that same experience or not.
Reuben, you want to go first?
So as a kid, I remember the countless times we would just rewind and watch the first Gungan battle versus the droid army. Besides the attack on Hoth in the episode 5, Empire Strikes Back, that was like a full-scale battle. That was pretty intense. But this was like the largest full-scale Star Wars battle.
First one that you actually saw.
That we'd ever seen. It was just like so massive. And then like they're bringing out these things that we just never even witnessed before, like these giant shield generators on the backs of these huge giant camel things that are coming out of the ocean, and they're launching these, electromagnetic balls.
Right. And this droid rudimentary army. And elegant and effective.
Yeah. So like as a kid, when I was watching those things, it was just like, whoa, like this is crazy. I've never seen this before. So there were aspects of things that I'd never seen in a movie before, where maybe at that time I wasn't thinking too much about like the storyline arc, like as deeply as, I would be now. Things like that really captured me. And besides, maybe I'll change my opinion, but I don't think so. Besides the revealing of Darth Vader on the ship when he first appears, revealing the villain, the revealing of Darth Maul is one of the all-time great, like, showdown villain scenes ever. Because He's dark and ominous. You haven't quite seen him yet, and then he lifts his hood off, and you're like, "What
Who
the
is
heck?"
this guy?
Like
But
this is a literal demon looking guy. Like he's a demon, and he unsheaths his red lightsaber, and then all of a
well,
sudden the second one comes out of the other end, and
they
you're
make
like,
those.
he has a double lightsaber.
What's hilarious too, because he literally looks like a demon, and you got Qui-Gon over here who looks like Jesus, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. And then of course it's just like the music at that time.
the music was
John
good too.
Williams nails it again, and that dun 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 dun, like
Yeah.
everybody knows that. Yeah. And Qui-Gon, who's Liam Neeson. Liam Neeson, his acting and those are
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No. He was awesome.
Stoic.
And Ewan
Stoic.
McGregor. Ewan McGregor was good too.
Yeah. And on top of that, see, this is where things get interesting, because the action in these are on steroids compared to what the other Star Wars were. Like the other Star Wars were fun. Like it was fun action. It was more leaning towards like the cool space
Blasters.
battles,
Yeah.
things like that. And the lightsaber battles got good, like with Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader at the end. Like those were good choreography, for episode 3 or episode 2 and 3. But I mean, that was just another thing we hadn't seen. Like all of a sudden, Darth Maul is doing these acrobatic flips, and Ewan McGregor and Qui-Gon Jinn and Liam Neeson, the actual actors, were doing the lightsaber fighting. Like they were all, and the actor that played Darth Maul was the actual guy doing the crazy acrobatic, spins and all of that. Like it was all, the choreography was just so sharp and on point. Sorry, I'm rambling, but that's it.
No.
That's yeah.
I agree with you on a lot of points there. So I think whenever the second set of Star Wars movies came out, 1, 2, and 3, you had like two types of fans who saw it and felt a certain way. You had the fan who had, ever since the original movies had come out, or if they, found out about it and became Star Wars fans, they had all those years of just nothing but the movies, and then some books I think came out as well. So you have these people who are just like deep into the lore, deep into the movies, deep into the lifestyle, and you're just munching on that for all these years, and finally the preceding storyline that led up to this moment is coming out, right? They could care less what the content was. It's freaking Star Wars is back, right? So they're just happy to freaking see it again, no matter what it is. It's amazing. And then you have the kind like you that's kind of like, wait, this doesn't feel like, and I have that same, I don't want to call it a problem, but I have that same inclination whenever I watch movies, continuations of original movies that I loved, is like, is it going to feel the same way?
Mm-hmm.
Like, is it going to have that ambiance, that nostalgic ambiance that I felt in the original one? And I kind of like Reuben. I didn't really have a negative feeling. I did when the second one came out, because it was like, it concentrated on like the romance between Anakin and Queen Amidala, or
Padme.
I thought that one was cheesy, but I ended up liking it more later on. But what I liked about it is like, so remember 1, 2, and 3 was set at a time where the majority of the Jedi had been killed, and technology it was different at this point in time. And of course, when 1, 2, and 3 came out, sorry, I don't know if I got the numbers mixed up. When 1, 2, and 3 came out, it almost looked like their technology was more advanced, more like streamlined and sleek and elegant. And you're kind of like, well, this wouldn't be, this looks like it's from the future, not the past.
Right.
But the way I kind of justified that, though, in my head is like, okay, you got ancient civilizations with lost technology that were able to accomplish great feats that we even know about today, and even like in the 1970s and 1960s, you see cars back then were so elegant and sleek looking, and the designs were just beautiful and like cursive. And then you get to the 1980s where they're just squares, they're just boxes, they put on wheels, and it looks like they lost their like creative design. And so that's kind of how I viewed that timeline, is like, not only was like, with the lightsaber battles, right? You had these guys that were trained in the art of lightsaber. Well, the Jedi had been decimated. So it makes sense that Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader, he's now a robot, so he doesn't really have all the movement that he could, but it makes sense that lightsaber duels weren't as, intense or acrobatic as it used to, because the Jedi's had been all but demolished. And it also makes sense that maybe technology, even though it's in the future, might not be as elegant as it once was, because now they're concentrating on efficiency more than they are how cool it looks necessarily. Or maybe some technology had gotten lost as well.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that. But the main thing that I liked about it, I think, was like they stayed true to the spirit of the Jedi. The first scene wherever you saw Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, they were stoic individuals who had power, and that was something that you wanted to learn about from watching the original Star Wars. It was like, okay, who were the Jedi? Because all you saw was Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he was kind of a frail man who gave himself up and basically let Darth Vader kill him. You want to know who these great warriors were, and I think they really accomplished that. I loved it because the movie was amazing. They stayed true to like the Jedi feel. They filled in a lot of blanks and questions that you had, from watching the originals. And I really appreciated the lightsaber, the honor they did to the lightsaber duels. I think that just took the cake, a lot of the cake, when it came to the episodes 1, 2, and 3. Was just like they really, really paid a lot of attention to lightsaber duels and how that played such an important role in Jedi combat and Jedi lifestyle. It's like a samurai without a sword.
Yeah, all that makes a lot of sense, and I like your kind of perception on the CGI and how thinking through it in terms of how it could be realistic to that time frame. The society and civilization coming before it. Because if I remember correctly, the aesthetic of it is a little bit more of a organic kind of Art Deco-y feel. It doesn't echo the original Star Wars, but it is kind of its own thing a little bit, and that could be for good reason, right? Because it was a different time and different things were going on, and you didn't have the pressure cooker that was taking place in episodes 4, 5, and 6.
Right.
So you had more flourishing and organic things thriving, happening.
Right. The Trade Federation had their old technology and droid armies. There's probably a whole bunch of technology that, a plethora of technology that was roaming the galaxy at that time.
Yeah. And I just love how immediately both of you talk about the choreography, the battles, the things that I appreciate, but I just don't think that I'm watching them with the same kind of precision of appreciation that you are. I'm not dissecting it the way you guys do. And so as I'm listening to you talk, I'm kind of like, I have even more appreciation for those 1, 2, and 3, now, because I'm going, that's true. The choreography is amazing, and the fight sequences and scenes are epic. If the Space Wars weren't enough, you've risen things to an epic level.
Yeah.
In terms of the sword fights or the lightsaber fights, and then just the battles between the Jedi and the droids and all this stuff.
Well, the opening scene in the second one is Obi-Wan and Anakin in their spaceships, right? That space battle scene.
Yeah. Dun.
When they were searching for General Grievous in his ship was epic.
They're just going by each other like broadsiding.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people though had a big problem with episode 1, 2, and 3, and like as it settled and as time went by, more and more people loved it. Like a lot of people didn't like Hayden Christensen as Anakin. They didn't like him at all, and
which I think is really cool in one way because, like you said, years and years later, 20 years later, they were revealing the Obi-Wan series or something like that, and all of a sudden they had him come out as a guest appearance at like this giant Comic-Con, and when he came out, and it's like a huge crowd, it's a big crowd, and he just met with like a deafening roar of applause. And he looks pretty, he looks aged and a little weathered, and you could tell it when he came out, like he's emotionally overwhelmed.
Yeah.
by
Wow.
the
I don't think.
reception that they gave him. And it's kind of like when you see that outside of the movies, you're like, oh man, that's because he got a lot of hate.
Black.
And
Yeah.
and I mean, he is kind of corny in them, but
Sometimes. Yeah.
sometimes it's kind of like it's kind of he's supposed to be really cocky, very confident, not bowing to authority. And so sometimes that corny, cocky character can kind of get blended in together. But
Well, also too, like whenever I watched it again, I almost felt like I tried to give it grace as though like, all right, well, just because his acting is terrible, it's not like charismatic or like maybe it's really realistic. Maybe it's like really realistic. Maybe that's
Yeah.
how he would have acted in real life. And like just because his voice wasn't like didn't have the right inflections during certain conversations, or it seems like he was kind of dry, like, maybe that's what makes it kind of special is Anakin was, but master, like
yeah,
I'm so for you too, it just
yeah,
Yeah. Well, one thing that I noticed too when I was rewatching them recently is he does convey this struggle with pride from the very beginning, right? Like you see the mechanism within him that gets used later on and brings about his downfall
yeah.
is there. Not when he was a little kid so much, but as a young man, he's constantly struggling with who's Obi-Wan, I should be teaching him stuff. Almost a kind of attitude.
Yeah.
Like he really struggles with that and
Yeah.
gets frustrated because he knows he's powerful.
Yeah, you can tell he's struggling with his respect for Obi-Wan and his love for him while also like acknowledging that he's kind of surpassing him in ways,
Right.
And that might like speak to a lot of his very just kind of dry attitude because, he's dealing with this the entire time. He probably has a lot of tumultuous feelings going on underneath the surface the entire time. So like his dry and stoic behavior is just like him constantly being pulled between so many emotions that it just comes out as like, very robotic in certain ways.
Yeah.
The third episode though, I mean, I think he really comes out of his shell.
oh
There's
yeah,
there's a lot of emotion.
man, oh dude, like you just can't get any more of a brutal, heartbreaking, scene at the end when he's, spoiler alert, everybody. Um, he's just laying there on the edge of the lava bank. And even when he's just mutilated, he's just looking up at Obi-Wan and he's completely overcome by the dark side. And his only thing he can say is just, I hate you, And it's just like, oof.
Let me ask you this. Do you think Obi-Wan was a little bit envious of Anakin? And Anakin could sense that?
I think Obi-Wan, I don't know if he was envious. I think Obi-Wan probably didn't fully know what to do with him.
Yeah.
And on top of that, Obi-Wan never really completed his training with Qui-Gon.
Oh. Because
so you probably have some aspects of like
inexperience with inexperience, teaching inexperience.
yeah, where he's kind of learning on the job too.
Right.
Okay.
And I think he just, it's one of those things where he's doing the best he can. He is wise. Obi-Wan is wise.
Yeah.
Because he learned from probably, besides Yoda, maybe the wisest of them all. But he's also like, I don't know what to do with this strong personality that also, it's kind of like if you have I don't know, like a bull mastiff or something. And it's just, sometimes it's obeying, but sometimes it's not. You're kind of like, I don't know what to do with this thing, dude.
Yeah. I honestly don't think that Obi-Wan, if anything, I feel like I don't think he was, but I got like a sense of cockiness, maybe even sometime. I wouldn't think that he was jealous or envious of, because as you remembered, in that last lightsaber duel, he wasn't found lacking. He was holding his own with Anakin, Darth Vader, in that last lightsaber duel, and it was like, yeah, that's Anakin. He's extremely powerful. He's the next greatest thing, in the world of the Force, but it's reckless power too. And even though he may be more powerful, Obi-Wan knows how to hone his feelings, hone his ability. And that's what you saw at that last fight, was just like unhinged, raw hatred and power and skill, and Obi-Wan's ability to stay in control and hone his
Which is a perfect foreshadowing of that, Ben, is the Darth Maul fight. Obi-Wan is pacing and he's like ready to go. Qui-Gon is the one that like sits down, refocuses himself, and Obi-Wan's trying to catch up, because he's behind. And then right before the last barrier closes, that's when Obi-Wan can't get through, and then he sees Qui-Gon Jinn get killed, and Obi-Wan's, like, no, but he still like recenters himself, but he's not kneeling. Like he's standing and pacing, ready to go.
Yeah, he is pacing.
And then when that barrier
he comes
down,
out.
he comes out.
He comes
just,
out. Yeah.
But
maybe it's a righteous anger,
Yeah.
in some sort of way. It's not like it's still emotional though.
yeah,
It's still emotional, which leads into the
Yeah.
dark side. So maybe he was struggling with that a little bit, but
So I'm even more convinced now that they're not as bad as I originally had thought they were.
you watch them again.
I know.
Watch 'em again.
All right, let's talk about the newest 3, 7, 8, and 9. Oh, Ben already has a face. See, I think y'all's reactions to those were kind of what I had to the 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, I don't know if I really have like a great argument as to why I don't like it. I just thought it was kind of just wasn't compelling. I thought they introduced some cool new characters. Flynn, I thought he was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I even thought the girl was kind of neat. I'm just very
what's her name
disappointed.
again? Rey.
Right.
Yeah. I thought they did a good job as far as like reintroducing what were you talking about, Reuben, with the original ones that came out? Props. I thought they reintroduced props in the new ones really well.
Yes. And I think that's what hooked me, is I was like, this is the aesthetic. Like,
Yeah.
they represented the original aesthetic better, and that kind of hooked me because of the nostalgia. Like, that nostalgia was there.
Right. They did the props really well. A lot of Muppets, a lot of stage sets were really, really cool. But I felt like the storyline as far as like her ascension, Rey's ascension to becoming the next Skywalker was just didn't do any justice. Like what she was and how she got there and what transpired just was kind of cheesy.
Well, I mean, I don't want to take away from what Reuben will say too, but I mean, let me just ask this: what was her conflict?
Her conflict was what she didn't know who her parents were. She had her eyes off into the horizon, right?
Uh-huh.
And the conflict was
not super clear.
Not super clear. It was just like she fumbled upon this destiny.
Mm-hmm.
And the next thing
I think that's one of the things that make her development as a character kind of unsatisfying and uncompelling. I don't think she has a real clear conflict in the story.
Well, and then who's the antagonist?
Kylo Ren.
Kylo Ren. Yeah. Kylo Ren.
He just seemed like I get that he had anger issues, right? Dark side, that all tracks, but he just seemed like a kid with daddy issues. It's almost like he took the cape from Darth Vader, right? They were trying to redo this like Vader type character, and it didn't hit the mark because Vader is like quiet, resonating with like, power. He's very, you just don't mess with him. Right? He doesn't have to say a lot, but when he says it, you're listening, or he's gonna like choke you out, and use the force. Like he just commands respect whenever he walks into the room. And Kylo Ren's character is just this, I don't want him to have like a bipolar episode and rip the console out of the computer, table all of a sudden because he doesn't like what's happening. It's just very uncontrolled. And even though like the dark side uses like unfettered emotion to get powerful and they still are on top of their behavior. You know what I'm saying? They're not just chaotic individuals who have no self-control. And that's kind of what this guy was to me. He was just like this really angry guy who found a lightsaber and was given a helmet, and he has some powers. And they just kind of used him as it's like the prince with privileges, only just because he's a prince, but he hasn't spent much time on the battlefield. He's just, I don't know. He was just a cheesy character to me.
Yeah.
Cheesy character.
Yeah, I thought that was a big missed opportunity, just because, without a good villain, there's not, you can have a movie where everybody likes the villain, or doesn't like them, but they're compelled, or they remember the villain more than maybe the main character, the hero. And that can make or break a lot of things, just like, with Darth Vader. But yeah, I agree. I mean, they just had a huge missed opportunity, because his look was cool. The helmet, the new lightsaber design, with the crossbar on the bottom, like, that was really cool. It had a lot of potential. And then, you could have ridden that horse for 2.5 movies and then finally have a helmet reveal. But, he's taking the helmet off in like it doesn't take long for him to take his helmet off, and you figure out exactly who this person is. And now there's no mystery behind who the bad guy is. And then you see him, and it's like Adam Driver. He's a good actor, but it's not. He doesn't look like a
villain, really.
He
Well,
doesn't.
you bring up an interesting point, Reuben, about a compelling villain. You've got Thanos. Thanos was a compelling villain. People liked Thanos. In a lot of ways, his what he was wanting to do, you could kind of get behind his plight in ways, right? Like, in order to save the galaxy, he's going to reset everything, and like, he had a reason for what he was doing, and you can
There was a true conviction behind
what he was doing, and you could tell that it wasn't easy for him. He really thought that he was doing what he was supposed to do, so it wasn't just this lust for power. It was like a responsibility. The burden that was on his shoulders to do what he needed to do was evident, and it weighed on him. And then with Darth Vader, you weren't sure, like, what his motivation was exactly, except to, control the galaxy, because he was this big Vader person behind the Emperor. But then you later learn that he used to be the good guy, and he was twisted by the dark side and became this thing. And he used to be this powerful, warrior for good. So even he had this compelling background story. But then you get to Kylo Ren, and what was his background story? Just a mad kid who didn't know much about his parents, and he just wanted to take over stuff. That was kind of it, and he didn't really seem to command much respect, other than the fact that he had, the power of the dark force,
Well, and one of the things, I mean, to that point, one of the things that ends up seducing Anakin to the dark side is this desire to protect people he loves. He gets mad that he wasn't able to be there because he could have protected his mother, and she died. And then he gets so scared that he's going to lose Padme that he's like, they told me the dark side, if I go to the dark side, I could get so powerful I could raise people back from the dead.
Right.
And he's convinced that if I become powerful enough, I can reverse death. I can protect the people I love. So in his head, and I would say that with most realistic villains in real life or in well-written stories, they think what they're doing. They've convinced themselves that what they're doing is good on some level. They're not just like straight up, I'm evil just to be evil.
Right.
They've convinced themselves, no, this is going to reorder the galaxy, or this is going to save the people I love, or think about the Breaking Bad stories, right? Like, what set him off on that trajectory was, I'm going to provide for my family. I'm not going to leave them in the lurch. He was doing it for a good reason, or convinced himself.
Right.
Anyway.
And the more you find out about Vader and what he went through, the more compelling his character is. You're just like, good grief,
Right, and I would say that, again, throughout those stories, his whole character arc, the fact that he ends up becoming redeemed in the end, right, it becomes the good guy again.
Redeemed in death.
Yeah, is, I think, part of what
sanctified in
makes
the flames.
him, like, the little, like, Blaze wants to be Darth Vader. You know, he wants to be Darth Vader. He doesn't want to be Luke Skywalker. He wants to be Darth Vader. And I think part of it's that whole character development arc.
Yeah. And, I thought what they did with Luke Skywalker's character was disappointing. It was just odd. I just thought it was an odd way to send off the Luke Skywalker in that movie. One of the weirdest scenes in the world, milking green milk from those sea cows and then him drinking it. It's like, why am I watching Luke Skywalker drink green curdled milk?
Oh, it's dense with midichlorians. Oh man, no man, he's a retired Jedi. He's farming life.
Now I don't remember which one it was because I've only seen all the new ones once, like all of them only once. So I think I should probably go back and rewatch them. I'm sure there's going to be more things. There are definitely things that are nostalgic, bringing back that same kind of feel, the way they dress and stuff. There are some space battles that are pretty sick in the new ones. Yeah. Like for instance, that scene where they're using the hammerhead ship.
Oh yeah,
and they just ram right into it,
so that way they can get out.
Yeah,
that's pretty sweet.
And then the scene where they use light speed to slice through one of the.
That was pretty sick.
Like there's some stuff where it's like, oh, okay, that was cool. So it's like, it was definitely they were entertaining. I never like walked out of the theater just, in full disgust, but I just kind of like what Ben said, like it was just never like fully compelling. I didn't leave the movie theater just like, I cannot wait for the next one to come out, but it's not like they're terrible. Badly done. It's not like the acting is bad.
The acting in these was good. I mean, we can agree that Kylo Ren's character was not that compelling. Rey's character development arc, I don't think was really that full-bodied or compelling, but the acting was really good.
The acting?
Yeah.
I mean, it was like, the dialogue and,
the formula was good as far as acting was concerned. I just think, the writing. Acting was great. Writing was rushed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then the whole, like, why did you bring back Emperor Palpatine?
Yeah, I kind of felt like they just like, all right, who are we going to use now? Emperor Palpatine. Except he's zombie Emperor Palpatine. Frankenstein Emperor Palpatine. We're going to hook him up and he's just going to shoot a big big blast of Raiden light bolts up into the air.
Yeah. There was a lot of lack of originality and some stuff, like the Death Star 2.0.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay. We're doing that again.
Yeah, but I think it would just as far as like movies out in theater goes, it just was not it was I don't know, it just wasn't compelling. I think they've done more to honor Star Wars with some of the TV series that have come out.
Yeah.
Than with the last three movies.
Yeah, and I like Rogue One. Ben, did you like Rogue One?
I did. I liked Rogue One.
Yeah, that was good. That was really good.
Well,
and then the Andor series was awesome.
Yeah, Rogue One is part of the Andor timeline, right?
It's kind of like the last episode of Andor, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Andor is like everything leading up to Rogue One.
Yeah.
And I think Andor was absolutely freaking amazing.
Yeah, it was really, really good. The
entire series was really, really good. Lots of dialogue. Some of the people I've talked to about it, they didn't like it because there was so much dialogue, but I loved the dialogue. I loved everything leading, and there was good scenes too. I don't know if you saw that on Instagram. I sent you guys a scene where from Andor, like a spaceship battle scene. That was pretty neat. They had some pretty good they had good battle scenes in that, but the dialogue was amazing because you got to see the guts and the inner workings of the Empire. And I've said this before, like everything the rebellion went through wasn't always noble. People had to die. Information had to be kept. Otherwise this rebellion wasn't going to be successful, you know. So I think it did a really good job of like pointing out that even though the rebellion, you know, was the good side, tough decisions have to be made, you know, and there's some good people on the inner workings of the empire too, you know, that are just kind of stuck in the grid, as it were. So that was
Yeah.
really, really cool, seeing the political side of the empire and how they worked.
Yeah.
Also, too, another good character in the recent Star Wars movies was the X-wing fighter. Yeah, he plays Apocalypse. He also plays he's a good movie star. He's kind of
Oh, are you saying though that he was in the last three Star Wars?
the last
That
three
character?
Star
Oh
Wars.
yeah,
He's
yeah,
the
yeah,
X-wing
yeah.
fighter.
I
He's
liked
really,
him.
really good.
Oh,
What's
Yeah.
his name? He sings Hippopotamus. Hippopotamus. You know what I'm talking
yeah,
about. He also plays Moon Knight in that
Yeah.
Marvel TV series that came out. And
I can't remember his name.
Oh, Oscar Isaac, the guy who
Oscar.
played Poe Dameron.
yeah, he was great.
Yeah, I liked him too. He did a great
Okay.
job. Yeah. Wow, I can't believe we actually got through all those. I don't know that in my head, I was realizing that we talked about 9 movies in one podcast.
Probably just completely incoherent.
Well, we didn't talk about each one. We talked about them in sets. But I just think that whole franchise endeavor has been really just fascinating. People still want to know, still want to watch Star Wars.
Yep.
Yeah, I took my kids to go see the new Mandalorian and Grogu in IMAX.
Yeah. How'd you like
Did they
it?
like it?
Dude, it was so entertaining.
It was good.
It was so much fun. I mean, it is what it is. You just gotta have to take it at face value of what they're doing, and it's just
It was
it
entertaining.
was a blast of a movie.
I have not seen it yet. I'll have to go see it.
Yeah, it kind of was kind of like it was like the coming of age movie for Grogu, sort of, which was cool to see that, how they're kind of like, let's get this little guy moving along here,
Yeah.
Not massively, but you could see it's like, okay,
It was cute. They had a lot of cute moments
yeah,
with Grogu in there.
yeah,
But they also like kept the Mandalorian pretty sick.
yeah. Pedro Pascal is just, that dude is the McDonald's of actors right now. He's everywhere.
He is. He is. Okay.
Heck yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's a wrap for episode.
1.
I guess this is technically 1.
Episode 1.
All right. Well, for everyone listening, feel free to hit subscribe on the Laura Hepburn.
That's right. There's more from where this came from.
Yeah, you
see the link
want
for
it.
dropping a donation too.
All right. Until next time.